When the Memphis Grizzlies got lucky and moved up to number 2 in the 2019 NBA draft lottery, a draft class that was expected to be a top 2 heavy draft with the likes of Zion Williamson and Ja Morant as franchise-changing players, receiving this good fortune from the basketball gods and ultimately landing Ja Morant with the number 2 pick was supposed to be the savior of the Memphis Grizzlies, a franchise that had never made it over the hump, had never been to the finals before, and had only been to one conference finals in their franchise history. Getting a player like Ja Morant, an insanely gifted athlete, a crafty offensive player, was a player that would turn this franchise around, the guy who would deliver the city its first championship. But after years of drama, suspensions, injuries, inconsistent play, and disagreements with the coaching staff, Memphis has now reached a point where it is no longer feasible, nor is it worth it to deal with all of the baggage that comes with Ja Morant and accept that he's not going to be their franchise player that leads them to a title. The problem for the Grizzlies, though, is that realistically speaking, they're going to be hard-pressed to actually find a trade partner that is willing to take on the headache and max contract that comes with Ja Morant, to the point where it's likely the Grizzlies might be stuck with Morant whether they like it or not. Why? Well, let's talk about it. Be sure to subscribe if you like this type of content, and in return I'll be providing more NBA content like this. Now look, we don't need to rehash all the past drama from Ja Morant in detail. We know the off-court issues the Grizzlies and the league as a whole have faced with some of Ja Morant's actions when it comes to his multiple instances of him displaying guns and videos on social media, instances that led to multiple game suspensions and even forms of rehab and therapy after the second gun incident, and of course the lawsuit where Morant was threatening a teenager with a gun at a house party. Stuff like that is obviously a PR nightmare for the Grizzlies when their franchise player is in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. But the Grizzlies have put up with it because of Ja Morant's talent. His electrifying play has outweighed all of this drama. But as Ja gets off to a slow start this season, looking disengaged and uninterested on the court, already getting suspended for conduct detrimental to the team for allegedly getting into an argument with the coaching staff, the Grizzlies are now faced with the reality of whether the production and play of Ja Morant is still worth the headache and drama that comes with him, especially given how checked out he looks on the court and the lack of leadership and accountability we've seen from him in recent press interviews. Let's first take a look at the numbers, because while it is still early on in the season and we're looking at a small sample size, there are still some common trends and things we've seen from Ja Morant dating all the way back to last season that cannot be ignored. And the thing that stands out to me is that not only are Ja's numbers down across the board, including what we saw towards the end of last season, but because of all of his injuries, he's lost a lot of his athleticism that made him so dangerous in years past with his ability to get to the basket and finish at the hoop. Because Ja Morant is not known for his shooting. He's never really been that great of a shooter, especially from deep. He's a career 31% three-point shooter on just a little over 4 attempts per game. Where Ja excels at is using his speed and handles to get downhill and finish through contact. So far this season, Ja is putting up career lows in drives to the basket, percentage of dunk attempts, field goal percentage in the paint at just 42.5%, and the lowest field goal percentage at the rim since his rookie year at just 62%. He doesn't quite have the pop and quick first step in beating his man off the dribble like he used to. He's getting rejected more at the rim, he's not getting to the free throw line as often, and look, maybe this wouldn't be as much of a problem if Ja was contributing and being productive on offense in other ways, but he's shooting an abysmal 14% from 3. He's 6 for 43 from behind the arc so far this season at the time of this recording. He's not generating as much offense by facilitating as we've seen him do in years past. I'm sure, some of that is, no longer having a clear number 2 option in Desmond Bane, and guess what? For the first time in a long time, Ja has been a net negative for the Grizzlies when he's on the court. The Grizzlies are 8.4 points per 100 possessions worse when Ja Morant is on the court versus when he's off. They are worse both on offense and defense when Ja Morant is on the floor. And so that begs the question, if Ja Morant, who is in his prime, only 26 years old, is regressing in all these areas of his play, can't shoot, can't defend, can't get to the basket and finish like he used to, isn't engaged, then what do the Grizzlies do with him? Because if he's not going to be your franchise player that is going to lead you to a championship and you're paying him like a superstar, is the investment worth it, especially when you consider the fact that the Grizzlies are 3-6 and sitting 13th in the Western Conference with a 25th ranked net rating? And what's interesting for the Grizzlies, though, is that they would actually be well positioned to just blow things up. Trade Ja, trade Jaren Jackson Jr. to the highest bidder, because unlike a lot of teams around the league, the Grizzlies actually have a fair amount of young players they can work with for the future. Cedric Coward has looked great for them as a rookie. Jalen Wells has been nice. They got Zach Edey, who hasn't played yet this season. Like, I'm not saying any of these guys are going to be stars, but they have some decent young players they can work with in the event they go down a rebuild. And on top of that, they have a fair amount of draft capital they were able to acquire in that Desmond Bane trade with Orlando, which I said at the time that deal was announced, this was a very underrated trade for the Grizzlies. So many people were talking about how this was an excellent move for the Magic because they needed a lights-out three-point shooter. But 4 first-round picks for a non-all-star on an inflated contract, I like Bane, but he's not that good. And you're seeing the Magic struggle now as a result of it. So the Grizzlies have 3 remaining first-round picks in that trade deal, 2 of which are going to be unprotected picks in 2028 and 2030, which could prove to be pretty valuable if the Magic don't get their act together. So if they did sell off on Ja and Jaren Jackson Jr., they actually would be well positioned for a quick turnaround. However, like I mentioned though, the problem is, who's going to want to take on Ja Morant? Like, yes, he is a very talented player. Sure, maybe on a new team, a new environment, he could go back to being the old Ja, a superstar level player. But taking on Ja Morant and his contract, not to mention all the other baggage that comes with him that I called out earlier in the video, is not going to be something many teams are going to be interested in doing. Even Jaren Jackson Jr., while I think the Grizzlies could get decent value for him, there are obviously the injury concerns that may not produce the haul the Grizzlies would expect for him. But when it comes to Ja Morant, and I know some people are going to disagree with me hard on this, but in today's CBA environment and based on the way Ja Morant is playing, his attitude, the off-court issues, the only way the Grizzlies are going to be able to move on from him is if it's in the form of a salary dump where they have to give up assets for a team to be incentivized in taking on that deal. Like, you're hearing reports coming out of the Grizzlies that they have no intention, no desire in blowing it up and going down a rebuild. That's because they likely know they're stuck with Ja for the time being until he's potentially able to recoup some of his value. Like, the Grizzlies shouldn't be that desperate where they feel they have to send out picks in a Ja trade package just to get him off their roster. They shouldn't be at that level yet. Give it a few more months, see how things play out for the rest of the season, assess closer to the trade deadline or in the offseason when he has 1 less year on his contract, only 2 years remaining at that point, where you might get some better trade offers. But yeah, I mean, this situation as a whole is just kind of a nightmare for the Grizzlies, and it's unfortunate because Ja was such a talented, up-and-coming young player. Some even talked about him being the future face of the league after he won the Rookie of the Year award. To have his ego get in the way and preventing him from truly being great is sad to see. Where the Grizzlies go from here, time will tell. All I can say is that it's very unlikely Ja Morant has a long-term future with this franchise. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Do you think the Grizzlies should trade Ja at all costs? Let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.